I came to grad school because I was excited to participate in the amazing scientific research that happens here at MIT. And I'm proud to be a researcher and a teacher here. Our work as graduate workers is absolutely essential to making MIT the prestigious university that it is. But you know what is just as essential? Our own health and well-being.
Yeah!
We can't perform world-class research if we have to worry about safety hazards, or if we're too exhausted and burned out to even think. So, when I was starting grad school, I was excited, but I was also worried about whether I would be able to maintain a healthy work-life balance here at MIT and be able to spend time with my partner. And these worries were not unfounded, because MIT's own data show that over half of grad workers often feel overwhelmed by what we have to do. And 38% of grad workers have felt so depressed that it was difficult to function. Yeah, shame, yeah, shame. 38%. So these statistics really show that we have a problem here, right? We deserve to not just survive at MIT, but thrive here.
Yeah!
We deserve a safe working environment that enables us to take full advantage of the many opportunities here without worrying about whether we're putting our physical or mental health at risk. But we see that the MIT administration consistently makes decisions that sacrifice our own health and well-being. Yeah. So one recent example is that just this summer, the MIT administration announced that they were going to end their free asymptomatic COVID testing program. Yeah. Now, MIT is a world-class scientific institute, so you would think that this decision would be based on science, right? Right. But actually, case counts in Cambridge were higher this summer when they ended the testing program than they were last summer when both testing and masks were mandatory. So does that make sense to you?
No!
Now, just days after admin announced that they were ending this testing program, several people that I work with tested positive for COVID. And because they were still able to test asymptomatically on campus, they were able to stay home from work and keep the rest of the lab healthy. So asymptomatic testing kept us all healthy, and it also meant that our experiments weren't disrupted. And workers across campus have been speaking out to share how much they relied on MIT's asymptomatic testing. So I want to just read you one of these testimonials from a community member at MIT. They say, "I am severely immunosuppressed by medication. I may have to work strictly remotely in order to protect my health and life." So we shared this testimonial and many others like it with the MIT administration, and we asked them to reinstate asymptomatic COVID testing. And you know what they said? They said no. So now we're being asked to start a new semester without any access to asymptomatic testing on campus. Now, this decision to end COVID testing is not an isolated incident. This is part of a long pattern. In just the past few years, we've seen the admin close down specialty divisions at MIT Medical, forcing us to find new doctors. And just this spring, they closed the MIT Pharmacy, which was the only pharmacy in Kendall Square, and which offered affordable prescription medications with lower copays. So now we have to take more time out of our already busy schedules to go pick up our prescriptions, and we have to pay more out of pocket on top of that. And every year, MIT admin make the decision to continue the cruel policy that when we go on medical leave, MIT stops covering our health insurance. So when I first learned about this policy, I thought I was misunderstanding something, because if there was ever a time when you need your health insurance, it's when you need to take a medical leave. And the last thing you should have to worry about while you're on medical leave is how you're going to afford thousands of dollars to buy your own health insurance. And that's not all. Because even though our work is essential to making this place run, we don't even get dental insurance. And now this really doesn't make any sense because we have teeth. And it should be as simple as that. If you have teeth, you should have dental insurance. So over and over, we've seen the MIT administration consistently prioritize their $27 billion endowment over our own health and well-being. I thought MIT was supposed to be a non-profit. So, and make no mistake, MIT can certainly afford to fix every single one of these issues.
That's right.
So what is it going to take to actually make MIT a healthier place to work? If you'd asked me this question a couple of years ago, I would have told you that I wasn't sure there was anything we could do. Because when I thought about these problems, I felt powerless. I felt like these problems were too big to tackle. And we shouldn't complain because, as we always hear, we're lucky to be here. And grad school is just supposed to be hard. But what I've learned through organizing our union is that every one of us has power. Every one of us has a role to play in addressing these issues in our workplace. And in fact, the only way that we are going to address these issues is by all coming together in our union to win a strong, legally binding union contract that MIT can't ignore. Now, our contract proposals would make a real difference in our working environment here at MIT because we're demanding to ensure support for a safe working environment with proper safety equipment and support to handle the many hazards and chronic health issues that we face on the job. We are demanding to bring back asymptomatic free COVID testing for every member of the MIT community so that we can all feel safe to come to campus. Yeah. We are demanding a grievance procedure so that we can stop bullying, harassment, and discrimination in our community. Yeah. And we are demanding time off from our work and clear, fair work expectations so that we can advance academically and professionally just like we came here to without sacrificing our own mental health. So if we want to make these proposals a reality, it's going to take all of us. MIT admin needs to know that when they sit down at the bargaining table next week, they're not just bargaining with the 24 members of the bargaining committee, they're bargaining with thousands of us. So who here is ready to make these contract proposals a reality? Now, if you're ready to make MIT a place where we can all thrive, we need you to join us in this fight. And there are two ways that you can do that right now. One is sign your union card if you haven't already. And two, join the contract action team. This is a team of grad workers who are excited to take action to make these proposals a reality. And action doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as talking to your friends and lab mates about the issues that we face on this campus and how we're going to address them together. So if you're ready to be a part of this, then right now I want you to go find an organizer in a red shirt with a clipboard. And organizers, please raise your hand right now so we can find you. And put your name down to sign your union card and to join hundreds of your coworkers building our union as part of the contract action team. Because together we can make MIT a safer and healthier place to work. So to close us out, I want to teach you a new chant. It goes like this: when we fight, we win. So say it with me. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. Woo!
Thank you, Ruth. Let's give Ruth another round of applause. So thank you to Ruth for laying out that with our health and safety on the line, we cannot wait for MIT to choose to treat us with respect. Are you guys ready to fight for the healthy and safe workplace we deserve? All right, our next speaker is Eric Berg, VP of the Boston Teachers Union. Help me give him a warm welcome.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eric Berg. I'm the Vice President of the Boston Teachers Union. I'm happy and proud to be here today. What an incredible scene. Thank you for being out here. It's amazing. You haven't even gotten to the bargaining table yet. To get this kind of a crowd out speaks volumes for the strength that you have and the numbers that you have. So I want to be here, first of all, to bring solidarity and greetings from the Boston Teachers Union, from the educators, the 8,000 educators across the river who work with students in Boston's public schools. And I will tell you, as someone, I taught first and second grade for 25 years before I was elected into this position, and as someone who came into this profession as a calling, as something that I felt was deeply important to the world and to me and was very meaningful. I think that as an education worker, we have a lot in common with you as graduate workers. You are teaching, you are researching, you are building the future. And I know for many of you, you're here to build your career and start your career, and it's something that feels more than a profession. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't have dental insurance. It doesn't mean that you should have to pay 70 or 80% of your income in rent to the same institution that employs you and is also the biggest landowner in the city of Cambridge. It doesn't mean that you should be put into the unfair and unsafe situation of having to speak up to your boss, who is probably also holding your career in his or her hands, about working conditions that might not be clear or might not be stable. You ought to have a voice to say, or actually to have defined what your role is, so you're not in that position with someone that holds such power over you. Because I think in the work that you do here at MIT to make MIT run, you're working with people, and you have the good fortune of working with people who are Nobel laureates and very prominent in their field, and that's why you're here. But that does not mean that you should be able to be taken advantage of. If you come from another country, there's no reason you should not have the same opportunities for internships, for instance, that your US-born colleagues have. That's not fair. And especially in a place where the power dynamics and power differentials are so strong, you should not have to suffer harassment and discrimination without a clear, transparent, independent, and enforceable grievance process that deals with harassment and discrimination, among other things. So this is obviously an incredible start for you all, the solidarity among the graduate workers, among your sisters and brothers and siblings in Local 26, in 32BJ, in Ask Me on campus, and with the burgeoning labor movement among graduate workers across Boston, at Harvard, most recently at BU. You're part of something. And you're part of something not only in Boston, but nationally. So as you go forth to the bargaining table next week, I urge you all to be involved, stay involved, and bring others to the table and to the fray. Hit up those folks with the clipboards, sign up, be a part of this movement. And I guess I also want to say, practical advice, this isn't easy, right? This is not easy. You're just entering the phase that's going to require the most stamina, the most courage, the most determination, and the most solidarity. So I just want to let you know that the members of the Boston Teachers Union are right there with you. If you need support, please call on us. Your sisters and brothers and siblings across the labor movement in Boston are here for you, and we are in this fight because it will be a fight. But as Ruth said, if I've learned anything in this movement, it's when we fight,
we win.
When we fight,
We win.
when we fight,
We win.
be well in solidarity.
Thank you so much, Eric. The solidarity and support of the Boston Teachers Union is something we are very grateful for. Next up is Sihan Chen, a grad worker in BCS and an awesome, impactful organizer and bargaining committee member with our grad student union. Please help me welcome Sahan.
Hello, my fellow grad workers. My name is Sahan, and I'm a third-year graduate worker at MIT BCS and a member of the bargaining committee. I am also an international grad worker from China. I've been in US for over 7 years now, and working and studying here alongside my American friends and colleagues. As all international students at MIT, I faced obstacles and challenges in order to do research, to teach, and to develop our career in the United States. Many of these challenges stem from the precarious position that all immigrant workers face, with their visa status hanging over their heads. That is why I value when these institutions like MIT use their resources and influence to protect us from these threats. Actually, I was very happy to see in summer 2020, before I became a grad worker at MIT, that MIT filed a joint lawsuit along with Harvard against the racist and xenophobic student ban brought forward by the Trump administration. MIT and Harvard argued that the student ban was arbitrary and careless, senselessly uprooting the life of international workers, and they were right. That was the moment I felt I was valued and welcome here at MIT. But that perception soon changed. Just a few months later, in fall 2020, MIT decided to issue a notice that they would essentially cancel all the remote appointments. While the pandemic was still raging in the US, this notice forced over 600 grad workers at MIT to come back to the country within a month or lose their job and likely their visa. Yep, indeed. MIT showed that they would support us when they needed us, and they would discard us when if it became too inconvenient for them. Shame! Shame! Apart from constantly having to deal with abrupt policy changes, we international grad workers are also suffering from other disadvantages. If we want to enter the United States, we have to pay hundreds of dollars to apply for a visa. And for some of us standing here, we have to apply for one every time we enter the country. We can also face weeks or even months of delays if there are issues getting a visa. So it's indeed very difficult. At the same time, if we want to pursue professional development, just like what every grad worker would do, we either have to be lucky enough to be placed in a department that sponsors CPT or have an advisor to approve it, or pay even more money to both MIT and the federal government to apply for an OPT. So all of these are telling us, if you want to be an international grad worker, you have to be either rich or lucky, or both. Does this sound fair to all of you?
No!
Does this sound fair to all of you?
No!
All of us, domestic and international graduate workers, come to MIT because we love science, because we want to make contributions to human knowledge, and because we want to do our best to help others out, to make the world we live in a better place than it was yesterday. Our nationality and our economic background should not be an obstacle standing in the way between us and these dreams. We acknowledge that some policies that resulted in our situation today are out of our control, but we are inviting MIT to work with us to mitigate the disparity between domestic and international grad workers as much as possible. That is why, in our contract proposals, we aim to ensure that international grad workers who are unable to return to campus can still continue their work and study, to have the security of full pay and benefits while they are still unable to return. This is just like Harvard's grad union has won. We are also demanding that MIT to cover visa applications and other immigration-related fees to support us as we contribute to MIT's mission. This is just like University of Michigan's grad union just won. We demand that MIT guarantee and not pose additional restrictions on international grad workers pursuing professional development such as by CBT and OPT, letting us choose the opportunities and path forward. I know I'm excited to see these changes. Who else excited? Who else excited? So, these proposals might become reality very soon because next week this time, I, along with other 23 grad workers from different departments and programs, will start negotiating with MIT for a contract. To make these proposals become actual text in a contract, everyone's participation is vital. So some of you here might be thinking, oh, this is gonna be so hard. How can we make this happen? I'm not standing here to lie to you and say it's gonna be easy. But I also want to point out that forming a union representing 5,000 grad workers at MIT was also hard. But look at where we are today. Look around us. We are here now because we won the election in April by a large margin. And we are here now to kick off the negotiation process. So all of these were just pure dreams a year ago. The key that leads to where we are today is that we are united and strong. And we are gonna keep united and strong. Your participation matters. As my previous speaker says, just 24 of us on the bargaining committee are not enough to guarantee international grad workers' rights and other rights and benefits in our proposals. We will only get these changes when thousands of us stand together. So, I am here to invite everyone to be part of the process. Talk with your co-workers, share your opinions and stories. Domestic and immigrant workers at MIT must come together because we are all part of the same fight to get a fair contract that we deserve. Let's end with a chant. Everyone in the crowd, please repeat after me. First in Mandarin. 团结的人民战无不胜。Thank you. 团结人民战无不胜。Okay, now in Spanish. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Otra vez. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Finally, in English. The people united will never be defeated.
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 Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sahan. Who's ready to fight for our international coworkers? Thank you for that powerful speech about how far we've come through our collective action up until this point and how far we can go if we continue to act collectively. Let's all work together to make MIT a more equitable place for our international coworkers. Next up is Evan McKay, a rank and file organizer and bargaining committee member with the Harvard Grad Student Union. Please welcome Evan.
Hello, and thank you for the introduction, and thank you to the energetic speakers before me and for all of you for attending. Once again, my name is Evan McKay, and my time at HGSU has included organizing for certification in 2017 and 2018, serving on the bargaining committee, and then being a rank and file organizer in my department since 2020. First, thank you. First and foremost, I want to share how excited we are down Mass Ave with the incredible work that MIT GSU is going on here. You all are outstanding. And we are so thrilled to be supporting you in all of the work that you're doing. Our membership supports you from the bottom up, and we're eager to continue supporting you in your efforts. We see ourselves as part of a shared struggle. And we believe that many of the issues that are crucial to your members are crucial to our members as well. Some of those because we both work at elite, enormously wealthy universities as student workers providing essential teaching and research work, and many more because of our shared struggle simply due to our shared status as workers. The fact that so many of our members are paying large chunks of their paychecks just for rent, including rent money, right back to the same university that pays us. The fact that many people in our membership are especially vulnerable or burdened due to their immigration status or being international students. The need to have protections for immigrant workers, workers on DACA, and international students. The struggles over childcare and health care, including dental care and mental health care. The fact that we are working in settings with extreme power imbalances that leave people vulnerable to harassment and discrimination. And when you finally speak up against harassment and discrimination, you often find a university structure that is more interested in its own reputation than supporting survivors or seeking justice. At Harvard, we are in our second contract. We had a one-year contract during the beginning of COVID. Through our second contract, we achieved a win in that Harvard became one of the first universities to recognize caste as a protected category. How were we able to win this in the second contract when we weren't able to win it in the first contract? Firstly, people educated their coworkers about caste discrimination and the importance of this issue. Our membership resolutely determined that we needed protections on the basis of caste in a legally binding contract as a step towards eradicating this discrimination. Our members, including anti-caste activists, joined alongside allied organizations, especially the Equality Labs, a key Dalit civil rights organization. They joined with alumni and broader community to elevate the importance of this issue and help secure legally binding protections. In the words of Aparna Gopalan, who was on our bargaining committee at the time, this win gives precedent and paves the way for caste protections across universities and workplaces in the US and clarifies that caste is a labor issue and a union issue in India and beyond. What this example clarifies to me is the importance of engagement in our contract fight through our entire membership. If we didn't have members talking to other members, educating about this discrimination, elevating the importance of these protections, and providing testimonials and organizing, and if we were not intentionally in coordination with organizations pushing for this issue far beyond Harvard's campus, we probably wouldn't have been able to win this. An organized membership who saw our contract fight as a key mechanism to help eradicate caste discrimination helped us get to their point. Our contract fights can be opportunities for organizing and the chance to win legally binding protections and policies. Harvard administration can't revoke this protection without violating our contract or going to the bargaining table when our contract expires. And in the meantime, we will continue building the movement needed to retain and strengthen these protections against caste discrimination. This is just one example, and all of you will determine what are the key issues affecting your workplace, and what you need to educate your workers on, your coworkers on, and what you need to fight for in order to win in your contract. I want to share a few additional short lessons from my time in our union, including my time on our bargaining committee. Most basically, the power that we have in the bargaining room comes from the power outside the bargaining room. At Harvard, we initially had some people who were convinced by some liberal belief that by simply getting the right smart people on the bargaining committee, we would be able to secure a strong contract. Choose some good people and then step back and let those good people get to work. As somebody who was on the bargaining committee, I want to share that although we worked very hard and poured our hearts and minds into making persuasive arguments and presenting our demands coherently in the bargaining room, this was not going to get us a strong contract. It's not about clever arguments or smart, hardworking people on the bargaining team. The power inside the bargaining room comes from the power outside of the bargaining room.
Woo!
How do we get power outside the bargaining room? This is by having an engaged membership, and this comes from the idea that organizing is not something that just happens from people with titles or special positions within the union. Organizing is something that all of us do together. Organizing is listening to your coworkers when they share something about their workplace. It is inviting a friend or two to every union event that you go to. And when you notice something is going wrong in your workplace, you should be talking with other people about this and listening to them. You are always going to be stronger together than you are alone. While the contract is a crucial site of organizing, don't let this be the only thing that dominates all of your focus. The other issues happening on campus and organizing around them only builds your power. Speaking from my time in the sociology department, when we have contract violations or when we had troubling power dynamics and fear of retaliation, we organized together. We listened to our coworkers, we organized a meeting together and decided collectively what to do next. We presented a petition with a list of demands. We were able to react to intimidation alongside one another to help build the supportive environment for us all to work in. A few final lessons learned. I wish we had done a better job in the beginning of our union openly disagreeing and asking questions about these disagreements, trying to probe deeper to understand what these disagreements meant. We want to be able to disagree in a comradely and productive manner. We learn through our disagreements and become a better union because of it. At Harvard, we weren't able to win third-party grievance procedure on sexual harassment and discrimination, something that has been key and very important to our union from the very beginning. I want to provide a different example from our union siblings at Columbia. Student workers of Columbia were able to win some of the strongest protections on sexual harassment and discrimination of any school in the country. Yes, celebrate that. What this means is that for survivors of sexual harassment and discrimination, they have an option on the table for them, if they choose to take it, in which the final arbiter, the final decision maker, is a third party. They are not employed by the university administration. They do not have an external incentive to sweep harassment and discrimination under the rug.
Yeah!
Columbia admin did not want to give in on this. They want to be able to control the process on harassment and discrimination from start to finish. Columbia's workers were able to win this through a deeply engaged membership. At week 10 of their strike, hours into meetings, they had over 200 union members attending bargaining and caucus meetings, collectively making decisions. When Columbia's administration provided a bad, weak contract across the table, the members of the bargaining committee were insulated from this top-down pressure from a powerful university because they had hundreds of engaged members of their union in their corner, supporting them in building the movement needed to win these demands. You have to have an engaged membership, and that means everybody. A union where everybody is tuned in and supporting is so much stronger than a union where a few people are working extraordinarily hard. At Columbia, they sought opportunities constantly to bring in new people and empower new members. Our unions should be leader-full, by which I mean that everybody is a leader in our unions. We have the ability to positively shape our unions. Your union is all of you together, and all of you get to decide what type of union you will be. Thank you for inviting me to be here as a speaker from HGSU. We look forward to organizing alongside one another in all of our future fights. When we fight,
We win!
when we fight,
We win!
when we fight,
We win!
solidarity forever.
All right! Woo!
Another round of applause for Evan. We are so grateful for the solidarity from Harvard Grad Student Union and so excited to continue supporting them in their fight as well. Our next speaker is Belinda Lee, a grad worker in EECS, and a dedicated organizer and bargaining committee member with our grad student union. Welcome, Belinda.
Hello, MIT! How are you feeling today? I'm gonna start off with a chant. So when I say union, you say power. All right? Union!
Power!
Union!
Power!
Union!
Power!
Woo! All right. So my name is Belinda. I'm a grad worker in EECS, and I am a representative on the bargaining committee. So I live in Site 4, which is behind y'all. And if you don't know what Site 4 is, let me give you a brief overview. You know, Site 4 is this new luxury penthouse in the middle of the fast-growing tech center, Kendall Square. And with an affordable rent of only $2,300 a month, or 60% of your stipend, it's what every MIT grad student dreams of, right? Sarcasm aside, last year I was placed into Site 4, and the only reason I managed to scrape by was because I had savings from previous jobs. The vast majority of MIT grad students do not. And even despite these savings, I was still under significant financial stress to the point that I felt pressured to ration food. Shame! I'm not alone in my struggle. In 2019, MIT conducted a survey of grad student life. You know what their own survey said? Over 75% of grad workers are stressed about rent. That puts a joint second as the leading cause of stress for grad workers. It's the same percentage of people said that time management was a source of stress as cost of living. Boo! And this stress is very well founded. The average MIT grad worker pays over 50% of their stipend in rent. Under federal standards, this means we are severely rent burdened. And since MIT can decide how much we're paid in relation to how much we pay them in rent, they basically, this was purposeful. They designed for us to be rent burdened. Boo! And it's not just about rent. Over my past year of organizing, I've heard stories from people who've, had broken heating in the dead of winter, lived in moldy apartments, were constantly wrangling with broken appliances and delayed repairs. Just last spring, I had a friend whose roommate contracted COVID. So she emailed housing, she emailed administration, and you know what they told her? They basically told her to just, hole up in your room, try and avoid the very person who lives with you, and just pray you don't get sick. So basically admitting they had no real COVID protocol 2 years into a pandemic. She ended up having to spend hundreds of dollars a night to book a hotel room on top of the added stress of last minute moving out, and on top of getting ping pong from meeting to meeting between various members of administration. And in this dire moment of crisis, MIT did not afford her any leniency or support. Instead, they actively added stress and basically proposed an absurd, untenable solution. Now, the administration will argue that they can't really do anything about our situation, They'll say that, housing is not a mandatory subject of bargaining, so we just won't negotiate on housing. Well, simply put, this is because employers are usually not landlords for their employees. In our case, where employment is so intimately tied with housing, it's completely reasonable to negotiate on housing. And in fact, members of Boston, LA, and Chicago's teachers, they've actually been organizing around living conditions for their students because their students' home lives affect the teachers' teaching conditions.
That's right.
The administration will also argue that, they're simply accounting for the housing market. Well, let's take a look at the facts. MIT is the biggest landowner in Cambridge. So they actually have significant control over the housing market. And you know what they choose to do with that? When MIT built Site 4, they tore down the older, more affordable Eastgate dorm and replaced it with a bunch of commercial offices and labs. Does this sound like an act of, simple survival in the face of rising housing costs? They were actively seeking to maximize their profit. With their $27 billion endowment, they would rather invest it in real estate than their own grad students. All their arguments for their inaction are simply excuses. The administration can do something about our rent burden, about our living conditions, but they choose not to. We have to make them do it. We have to organize. One or two individuals can be dismissed, but if all of us stand together and say we demand affordable housing, that's impossible to ignore. We will win if and only if we take collective action. And we know this is the case. We have evidence for this on this very campus. Last year, when we were campaigning for our union, the administration saw the threat of us organizing. And in the middle of the year, they announced an unforeseen 3% raise. And the next year, they announced an unprecedented 5.5% raise. When we got together and organized grad students for a healthy MIT, we increased covered mental health sessions from 12 to 52 and reduced copay by 5 times. And this was all before we had a union. Imagine what more we can do with a strong union contract. Finally, I wanted to end on a call to action. I know that all of us came to MIT because we wanted to make the world a better place. And I'm telling you right now, making this change doesn't just require us to be amazing scientists, excellent researchers, to become leaders in our field. For sure, this can be one mode of change. But we also want to build a more equitable society and a healthier academic culture, one free from overwork, free from exploitation, free from housing insecurity. Yeah! And it's not a separate matter. We actually need this in order to do good science. And in order to make this sort of change, we need to unite together and organize with the masses. So I implore you today to take this more democratic view of change, where change doesn't come just from a small group of organizers or a small group of, scientific leaders, but rather comes from the masses of people coming together. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to have a PhD. You don't have to have amazing oratory skills or be like a social butterfly. So long as every single one of us does a little bit, talking to a coworker, attending a rally, joining the CAT. As long as every single one of us does this, we are more powerful than we imagine. So, join me today. Go to tinyurl.com/MITGSU-vote and vote to ratify our contract proposals. And of course, find a way to get involved. Find the organizers out there with clipboards or sign up at mitgsu.org. And before I go, I'd like to lead one final chant. It goes like this. So I will say, what do we want? You say contract. And then I'll say, when do we want it? And you say now. Got that? All right. What do we want?
Contract.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Contract.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Contract.
When do we want it?
Now.
Woo! Thank you, and let's win this contract fight.
Thank you, Belinda, for outlining how, with MIT acting as our landlord, our living conditions are intimately tied to our employment. With MIT imposing a housing and stipend system designed to keep us rent burdened, do we all think it's important for MIT to bargain with us over housing?
Yeah!
I want to shout out right now George Buxmunski, UE Eastern Region President. Thank you so much for being here. We so appreciate your support and the support of all of the UE locals across the Eastern region. Just a big round of applause. Next up, we are very excited to have Carl Rosen, the General President of UE and our lead negotiator for bargaining, here with us today. Yeah. Carl has been an indispensable and unwavering support in our fight for our union and has been training and empowering all of us on the bargaining committee as we begin our negotiations. Please help me welcome Carl.
Thank you. Hello, MIT GSU. I bring you greetings from the National Union, from UE, from coast to coast. We are all very, very excited to have you become part of the UE family. It makes so much sense for you to be with us. Your commitment to rank and file control, to self-organizing, to the fight for social justice, to the fight against discrimination of all types. This is all core to UE, and to have you recognize that and be here as part of that fight, it's just so affirming, and we really welcome you aboard to UE. And with that in mind, I can tell you that later this week, the UE General Executive Board will be meeting at our national headquarters in Pittsburgh, and one of the items on the agenda is to vote to officially issue a charter in the name of UE Local 256 MIT GSU and all of the rights and privileges that come with that. Welcome to UE! But let's talk about what we're here to talk about, which is you've got contract bargaining starting next Monday, and it sounds like a lot of you are excited by that, and I will tell you, I'm very excited by it. And I'm excited for a whole bunch of reasons. Number one, because right now we're in the midst of a worker upsurge that we have not seen in generations. And to go to bargaining in that context, and it's because workers are standing up and fighting and saying, we have to redress this imbalance of power and wealth in this country. And you're part of that, and this is exciting. And a lot of that upsurge is concentrated amongst graduate workers and tech workers. And so you're right on the crest of that wave, and that's exciting. And I've been working with your bargaining committee all summer, and they have been working so hard to put together a real kick-ass set of contract demands based on the input from all of the members and based on surveying the best of what's elsewhere in the country that other graduate workers who've already gone down this path have been able to establish. And they put together a great set of contract demands that we can all be proud to take to the table next Monday. So that's very exciting. And I've also been watching and occasionally participating with your contract action team and your department organizers who have been doing a hell of a job of organizing to build the apparatus that you need to carry this fight forward all the way to the finish line. And I have not seen such a well-organized group, again, self-organizing group of workers anywhere in recent memory, and that is tremendously exciting too. But to me, what's most exciting is all of you here and all of the participation that has been going on for the last couple years of thousands of MIT graduate workers. That's what it's going to take to win. To see that level of involvement of the workers has just been fabulous, and I'm really excited to be able to go in to the table and not say, here's some papers that we'd like to see you do, please, but to say, this set of papers is here because thousands of workers voted to have a union here because they have real issues, they want them addressed, and they've been coming out and saying it over and over again, and you're lifting up your voices again so that the administration has to hear you. Because this contract is not going to be won at the bargaining table. It's going to be won in the labs. It's going to be won in the classrooms. It's going to be won in across the MIT community, anywhere that you can put pressure on the administration for them to realize that they are better off settling a good contract, a fair contract in a timely way, that resisting that makes things worse for them, not better. When they understand that message, that's when you're going to get the contract that you need and you deserve. And I will tell you what I've seen here today and what I've seen here over the last period, it convinces me you've got what it takes to win that fight. I'm very much looking forward to being part of that fight with you. We start at the table on Monday, but there is a lot more to happen than just going to the table, that's for sure. Solidarity.
Thank you so much, Carl. Another round of applause for Carl, please. Our next speaker is Jonathan Tago, a grad worker in MECI and an amazing organizer and bargaining committee member with our grad student union. Welcome, Jonathan.
Yo. What's up, y'all? How you doing? Word. My name is Jonathan Tago, second year grad worker in mechanical engineering. Happy to be here, and also a bargaining committee member for the grad student union. I'm super happy, honored to be here standing, talking, as usual, to all the members of the union and unions across campus today. Don't worry about it. One thing I think most folks, or maybe some folks, I don't know about me is that I went to MIT for undergrad. And in my semi-short bid over here, you know, some things have changed. We have, Kendall looks mad nice now, some ice cream shops, some professors can come and go. It's all good, it's all nice, right? At the same time, some things have stayed the same. You can't take a single class here or read a single email or publication with MIT on it without it proclaiming that it's training the world's best problem solvers. And I mean, I've met a lot of y'all, and I can't really disagree. We all came to this institute because at our core, we're problem solvers. We want to see things change, we want to see things be better, right? Right. Word. And I think we picked a decent university to do it at. I mean, look at any of these USA Today college ranking things. MIT is usually close to the top, right? Yeah. And we got access to resources like no other. Some of the top students, you know, grad workers from around the world, industry leaders as our teachers. I mean, we're in the MCU, for crying out loud. Coming to you all as student workers who, you know, give MIT this prestige and this name, I mean, we deserve some hype, don't we? Yeah! Word. But I definitely want to ask, you know, in the middle of the hype, does that prestige help you keep up with living costs? No. Does that prestige guarantee fair hours and proper work-life balance? No. Does that prestige protect us from unfair treatment or discrimination? No. Word. And like I said before, coming here as an undergrad, I've seen lots of things change, lots of things staying the same. And one thing that stayed the same is MIT admin kind of does what it wants. You know, either they blindside us with policy that affects us, or they may ask for some feedback or ask for our voices to be heard, but they kind of do what they want. You know, we've seen it, every speech you've seen here today, all these issues, I mean, they sound mighty problematic, don't they? Yeah. You know, so has MIT really shown us that they're listening to us about our issues? No. Word. Cool. And, you know, I'm not just speaking from, you know, stuff I've experienced personally. I mean, we all saw it a couple months ago. This union is only like 5 months old. The anti-union campaign launched during the election was mighty crazy. I'm not going to lie. They really kind of made it clear that bargaining is going to be an issue. Bargaining may not be as easy in a fight. We can't go in there thinking we can just ask nicely and get what we deserve, which is a fair contract. Am I right? Yeah. Word. Cool. Just making sure we're on the same page. So when it boils down to it, we gotta take a sober look at what's going on. MIT maybe have changed its tune. You know, if MIT wants to negotiate fairly in good faith, I invite it. Let's do it. Let's get cracking. Y'all want to solve these problems? Let's do it. You know, but we gotta be real with ourselves here. This is going to be a contract fight. Emphasis on the T at the end of fight. And it's not going to be easy. But we have to put in the work. We have to work together. We have to stick together and actually enact the fair contract that we all deserve. So, like I said, we've had a whole bunch of problematic issues displayed through the speeches over here, right? And we're supposed to be some of the best problem solvers in the world. Am I right? Yeah. Word. So we got some problems to solve. Let's just get cracking. Like, let's do it. Let's do it. So we've seen it all. We've seen it before. Graduate workers coming together and pushing MIT to make things right, to make things better, hasn't worked in the past. But we know the problems we face directly impact our well-being and our ability to be the researchers we came here to be. This is an issue with our employer, our educator, and for some of us, our literal landlord. We can't keep on thinking things are going to get better if we stand still and be quiet. We got to act. We got to move. And we made it happen because we won that election 2-1 a couple months ago, made this union a thing, and we're here today ready to go to the negotiating table next week. So there's been movement. We've been moving. We're not just talking. We've been moving. Right? And we're here not because we just feel sorry for other people. We're here because we have a shared struggle, and we have to do what we can by putting in the work, each of us, to make that a reality. That's solidarity right there, and that's a union difference I've seen at MIT. There's no more being quiet or standing still, and we all know that we can't get something out of nothing. So my question now is, what do we have to do right now? You know? It's mad easy to talk about a fair contract and all the things we want to win. We should keep that hope. We should keep on pushing for what we want to see. But it's about what we do day to day that actually makes that happen. Yeah. You know? Woo! When we, the 24 people on the bargaining committee, go up to MIT, I don't know what the table's going to look like. If we're like standing over here and all the way on the other side, who knows what it's going to look like. You know? They need to know that they're not messing with just 24 students who are just mad. They need to know that they're messing with thousands, hundreds, thousands of MIT graduate student workers who know their issues and know that the union is a way through to actually fixing them. And they won't actually move on that. So, can we count on you to all be showing your support next Monday across campus? Yo, that was a little bit quiet. Can I count on you to pull up for us? Oh, shit. All right, word. So it's going to take clear, consistent communication about what's happening at the bargaining table and quickly building up pressure to make MIT budge when we need them to. We need folks engaged, ready to participate, and most importantly, just being good members of the MIT community and sticking by each other. One thing I really want to make sure everyone here understands, everyone watching on live, what's up, understands that this fight is fundamentally on us. It's on us. No one else can fight this fight for us. It's on us, the graduate student workers of MIT. We don't stand alone. That's a fact. We have support from 32BJ, the custodial staff union, the dining workers, the librarians. We have support all over. But at the end of the day, this is our fight. And we have to keep that in mind and keep on pushing. We can't stop. We can't stop when we won't stop. Because this is your fight for respect and dignity in our workplace. This is your fight for adequate protections for every single one of us here. This is your fight for the ability to actually afford to live in this city we call Boston and Cambridge. All right? So by taking this step forward with our union, your union, we're simply being the problem solvers that MIT trained us to be. Yeah. We keep MIT running, and for that reason, we deserve a real seat at the table. Yeah. So, I got a chant, you know, we like to end on chants here. It goes, who got the power? We got the power. What kind of power? Union power. You get that? You got that? Word up. Let me not yell too loud. This is mad loud. Who got the power?
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Union power.
Who got the power?
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Union power.
Who got the power?
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Union power.
Word. Let's get this contract.
Thank you, Jonathan, for outlining that meaningful global problem solving that we all came here to do starts with problem solving on our own campus. So to close out our rally, we have an exciting performance coming up. But first, we are collectively going to take a couple minutes to do two things. Number one, sign your union card if you have not already. And number two, vote to ratify our contract proposals. So to sign your union card, either go to mitgsu.org, that's mitgsu.org, or turn and find one of the organizers near you in red shirts, and they have physical cards that you can sign. There's also a table over here with more physical cards. That's the first thing. The second thing is please vote to ratify the contract proposals. That vote closes as soon as this rally ends, so now is the time if you have not already done so. To do that, go to tinyurl.com/MITGSU-vote. tinyurl.com/MITGSU-vote. So we're going to collectively take like 2 minutes to do those things, and then we'll come back.